Hi and welcome to Conversations with Des. I'm your host, Des Blanchfield. Today we have the privilege of being joined by Rupesh Chokshi. Now Rupesh is the Assistant Vice President for Edge Solutions Product Marketing Management at AT&T Business. Rupesh, great to see you. Thanks for making time to catch up with me.
Thank you so much for having me, Des. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
It is long overdue, and I really appreciate you making time. So let me just briefly introduce you to our audience who have been very keenly looking forward to hearing from you and seeing you. Now, Rupesh leads the Enterprise Edge product marketing team for AT&T Business. They focus on product management, strategy, business development. In fact, Rupesh manages a significant global portfolio of market-leading innovative technology solutions. The Enterprise Edge team are transforming services and networks using software-defined networking, SDN, and network function virtualization, or NFV as we call it, and in particular software-defined wide area network technologies, or SD-WAN, which is the whole topic of today's conversation. In fact, AT&T have developed software-based solutions at the edge to create value for their customers that are agile, scalable, and these solutions encompass SDN, NFV, SD-WAN, 5G, Voice over Internet Protocol, or VoIP, and Internet of Things, IoT. Rupesh, it's great to see you. How are you doing during this crazy year of 2020, the year that we all want to forget?
We're doing good. We're doing good. I'm based in Dallas, Texas. We're blessed. Everybody is, safe and healthy, and we're trying to stay sane, right? Just kind of keeping the rhythm of the family going, and my kids are going to start school next week, so we're going to start with online, and so it's exciting. What is amazing is that it's August, right? August 2020, right? And the time is just like zoom, flying by, and we've gotten used to all of these interactions that we're doing, and whether we're on video calls or I'm even doing customer interactions, right? Forget just along just my team, but working with our customers on these platforms. So fun, but hey, adapt and adopt, right? That's the mantra.
Indeed, and as I said, year 2020 is the year we all want to forget. But then, as unfortunate as some of the outcomes have been over the last 6 to 8 months, we have had to, as you said, pivot and change the way we do business. And medium to long term, I think there are some great learnings to come from that, and I think it will change the world for a positive. It's just unfortunate it's taken a global pandemic to do it. Now, you have a Master of Science in Industrial Engineering from Clemson University. You've got an MBA, and I think you were focused on marketing strategy and leadership from New York University. I think it's Leonard Stern School of Business it was. That's an interesting combination of both, I guess, business and technology focus that has probably set you up well and held you in good stead with regard to the role you have currently.
Absolutely. And, I do a lot of mentoring for some of the managers and students, and I tell them, right, this combination of, engineering background and the business background has really helped me kind of think and be able to contribute and establish, because I remember in the engineering school, there was always a black and white answer, right? Every problem you solved for it, and there was an answer that you were looking for. I think with the business school, it actually teaches you how to be, in the gray area, right? And kind of navigating through those, complex business issues and be able to focus on the value creation and what really matters, right? So fun to do science experiments, but then the business hat is, how do you make it real? Customers, value proposition, revenue, etc.
Indeed. Well, and the topic we're going to talk about today, software-defined wide area networking, or SD-WAN, is one that is, in my mind, it's in boardrooms all around the world. People are trying to understand, where does it fit? What actually is it? Why do I need to know about it? There are some very broad questions like, should our HR team even know what it is, because they need to ensure that we're hiring people with the right skill set and experience? Should we go through the process of recertifying our network engineering and network design teams? How do I, as a senior executive or manager, manage those teams and manage those services, all the way down to, procurement teams, and how do they manage those contracts? So why don't we dive straight into that? I wonder if I could maybe just start out with the whole topic of software-defined infrastructure and software-defined networks. In your view, how have software-defined infrastructure and software-defined networks technologies changed the landscape of wide area networks?
I think, if you look at the last sort of, 3 to 5 years, right, is this tremendous amount of change, right, in terms of how we started with, developing, creating, connecting the locations and the wide area networks to now sort of, what is an endpoint, right? What are we trying to do making a connection with that endpoint and the communities and the buildings and the remote workers and sort of, business IoT endpoints, et cetera. So I think there's a lot of transformation happening, one from an endpoint perspective, right? There's so much data being generated, machine to machine conversations, or even just, people working from home and trying to adjust to businesses trying to do a lot of branch transformation, right? We see that with financial industries, we see that with the retailers, et cetera. But then on the other hand, it's the adoption of the cloud and the SaaS applications and shifting away from the data center into multi-cloud environment, right? So the latest is all about, not just one, but many. And then we're seeing a shift of, data kind of coming back into the edge and this definition of a customer edge, a network edge, et cetera. So I think the industry is very, very kind of prime for transformation. And I see that, we're technology advancements at the pace of software versus kind of classic hardware, software, proprietary, versus now it's about sort of, how can you deliver business value, right? How can I bring feature functionality? How can I change the experience? How can I deliver the visibility? So the wide area network, which is sort of the network, kind of the fabric and the bloodline of how data flows are taking place, has become an enabler, right? Is very important. If I want to do a pop-up store or I want to do a pop-up clinic, right, I need to have connectivity. I need to have secure connectivity. I need to have an intelligent network that'll allow me to do that. So I think over the last 3 to 5 years, we're seeing massive transformation. And from an AT&T perspective, we've been on that journey. We've been public about the virtualization of our core network, right? How we are changing and transforming ourselves, and we become sort of, a way for us to learn and then build commercial platforms that we offer to our customers so we can bring those best practices and learning and be able to drive significant amount of sort of, business value creation and transformation, right? And I say that, networking is cool again, right? Networking is cool again.
I'm of the view it was always cool, man. Well, actually, that brings up an interesting question, I guess, and I'd love to dive into sort of a bit more detail around this because, when you think about the AT&T business portfolio of wide area networking services and edge services and solutions around that, where does SD-WAN sit within the portfolio of services that you currently offer?
So we have, again, been on this journey of creating an SDN platform and then NFV platforms, and there comes SD-WAN as a sort of a killer app, right? And it starts to really have a significant impact with the market and the customer. And we saw a lot of, venture capitalist money being poured in. So we're like looking at it, et cetera. So from a portfolio perspective, I have the responsibilities within the enterprise edge and edge solutions. And we are part of the AT&T Business, both from a enterprise network and an enterprise edge team together. And we offer a very comprehensive portfolio with global reach and the ability to deliver integrated solutions, right? So not just SD-WAN, but SD-WAN with connectivity and transport, with security, with voice, with unified communications, et cetera. So the portfolio is young and is growing very, very rapidly. We're seeing triple-digit growth year over year. We're thrilled about that. We are seeing tremendous amount of customer adoption. And I often get this question asked that, is the adoption in one segment or one vertical? And no, it's across the board. Working with the marketing teams and the channel teams, we launched a product called SD-WAN Now and an offer that is very focused on, mid SMB type of, customer base, right? So you're kind of going to customers who might have 2 sites or 3 sites, but they want that same level of flexibility because that customer base is consuming even more from the cloud when it comes to SaaS applications, et cetera, right? So the portfolio is a global portfolio. We have customers around the globe. we've done deployments in 79 countries around the globe and growing, triple digit, as I mentioned. So, I'm thrilled. My team is thrilled that, we are learning, we're paving the way. And at the end of the day, we feel satisfied that that transformation that we did at the networking layer is directly enabling the business transformation that the customer is focused on.
And it's certainly an exciting time, and we are indeed, as you suggested, we're a long way away from RJ45s being plugged into routers and switches and so forth anymore. Virtualization and flexible networking in the world of today's telcos and CSPs, it's something that's on everyone's lips from boardrooms down. People are trying to understand what it is, where it fits, when they need to move, how they adopt to it, and how they leverage it for business value. I wonder if in your view, you could give us sort of your take on, what the key benefits of SD-WAN are and what it offers, and more specifically, how it's transforming how businesses leverage flexible virtual networking.
Absolutely. So there are, two or three things that I like to share when I have the conversation about the benefits of SD-WAN, right? So the first one is application aware. And I want to translate that into experience, right? So simple examples that, a lot of endpoints are consuming Office 365, which is a productivity tool. So the experience in how that interaction is taking place is very valuable and relevant to the enterprise, but also to the individual, right? Similarly with a video conferencing call. So SD-WAN is application aware. So it knows that if these applications are more important and have mission criticality, then it'll instruct the underlying networks to carry that workloads and the payloads in a way that the experience is very differentiated, right? So application aware is a big value proposition. I think the second one is the ability to sort of, rapidly deploy and instantiate services, right? So one example comes to mind. We worked with a customer last year and said, hey, we want to kind of get pop-up stores or kind of get more distributed because we have a limited footprint of 100 stores or retail stores, and we want to reach out to a wider audience. So what we did was we packaged AT&T SD-WAN with AT&T wireless technology, and we built a little kit for them, and boom, there you go. That same during the pandemic is being used for mobile clinics, right? I mean, it's a different use case, but the concept is rapid deployment. Can you bring up locations, very, very quickly? And I think the third one is this sort of, visibility and orchestration, right? So what I mean by visibility is that customers are always interested in knowing that how is my network performing? Why? Because the mission criticality of the network and the experience that the network delivers is very important. So if I'm a manufacturing, setup, I want to know if I'm going to be pushing large amount of data, what is my network performance and my network capabilities, right? So I see that as a very important. And then the ability to orchestrate, right? Which kind of, I saw something, I have to have business policies, I need to put in, kind of capabilities that are to some extent self-healing, self-routing, and you hear a lot about artificial intelligence, but ultimately the goal of some of these things is to make that network better, right? And in many cases, highly resilient, which is going back to the experience, the performance, and the end results that it delivers. So three things, I talk about day in, day out. And I think people often ask me, okay, maybe it's a little bit more kind of technical in nature, but then you kind of take and say, okay, is productivity important to your business? Absolutely, right? And SD-WAN is an enabler of productivity because it's delivering uptime. It is finding ways to make your video conference better, right? The second question is, hey, is operational efficiency important to you? Whether you are a manufacturer or whether you're an airline or whether you're a retailer or a financial services, right? Yes, if it's important, then the mission criticality of the network is important, and uptimes and keeping everything alive. Then the third is, can I utilize some of these capabilities to drive additional growth? And we've had customers who said, hey, I want to create this fantastic storefront where I'm going to, change the interactions that I do with my end user, whether I sell a pair of shoes or whether I sell a bag or, whatever it is, right? And I'm sure we're going to pass through the pandemic and we're going to be back into, the storefronts, et cetera. But by the same token, right now, there's a lot of shift to online. So going back to that, can I be omni-channel, right? Can I be something physical? Can I be something on the web? And the SD-WAN network has that flexibility, right? It can shift resources to where you need to be. And that sort of, ability to have new revenue, new growth from a business perspective is very relevant. So I think about productivity, operational efficiency, and new growth, new revenue opportunities.
No, great points. In fact, when you mentioned the term instantiation, someone asked me the other day, what does it mean to instantiate something? I said, well, just open up your email. When the window open up there, you've instantiated Outlook. Congratulations. Now kill it, you've killed it. Now do it again, you've reinstantiated. They're like, oh, is it that simple? I went, pretty much. When we think about the challenges that CXOs around the world face when they're looking to use software-defined wide area networking or SD-WAN across their business, I wonder if you could give us your take on how businesses should be incorporating SD-WAN in their networking technology strategies.
So I think it's become, top of mind, right? And you often hear terminology and in the sort of the business setting and with the C-suite is that, hey, what is my cloud strategy, right? Do I have the right one or not? What is my security strategy, right? Do I have the right one or not? And then what is my networking strategy? Because I need that one, and the other two are not going to just be by themselves, right? So we interact with customers and say, look, when you think about the blueprint, the architecture of what your business process needs to be, what do you want to do differently? What are the outcomes that you want to pursue? Having the ability to have a clear view on where SD-WAN fits and what it can do is very important. So that's sort of, area one. Area two is the remote worker space, right? So we're seeing more and more. And now the remote workers are knowledge workers. So if I'm going to do telemedicine from home, you need certain level of interactions and experiences, right? You can't have a doctor or a lawyer or an investment banker who is a highly skilled, highly paid resource of that enterprise, right, have lag time. We've seen customers who have said, look, I'm going to take all my call center agents and shift them to a work from home call center. And we need to kind of build a whole networking system or a capability for them so they are back into the corporate network, they're secure, and they're interacting, and our end client should not feel any hiccup, whether it's on the voice over IP connection or the ability for the agent to serve the customer through those interactions, right? So I think it is, front and center in terms of the cloud transformation, the business transformation, the security transformation, the network transformation. They all go hand in hand. And with security and networking, lines are blurring, right? So it's almost like you want to have two words. You want to have a secure, you want to have an intelligent network.
Oh, I love that. It's a great summary. And the thing I'm getting from that is essentially it permeates all parts of our businesses in every possible way, both in business and technology. It's something that we need to not just get across, but also start to look at leveraging on a day-to-day basis, particularly now that we're all predominantly working remotely, unless we're in frontline services or essential services. I wonder if we could wrap up with one last, one of my fun things I like to do with my guests is get you to do a little bit of crystal ball gazing. And if I said to you, Rupesh, let me hand you a virtual crystal ball and gaze into it for a moment. In short summary, if you were to look at what's on the horizon in your view for SD-WAN over the next 12 to 18 months, probably a little difficult in light of the context of 2020, but just some key bullet points for people to sort of consider and what they should potentially have on their agendas at the boardroom level down to consider over the next 12 to 18 months. Where's SD-WAN going over the next year and a half?
So I like the crystal, gazing, and maybe I should go into my sort of, inner nirvana phase and see what I can, if I was Yoda, I could float, right?
SD-WAN, you will.
So I think there's a couple of areas that make sense to me, right? So one is the ability to support and kind of expand. It's not just about the branch or the physical location. It's about, the endpoints, whether it's a remote worker, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a phone, whether it's a digital signage, right? We see a lot more digital signage being utilized, whether it's a IoT endpoint. And with, 5G as it's a reality, right? We see 5G today everywhere. And what that is going to do is going to accelerate these use cases and the data flows that these use cases need. So I think when you take a look at what's happening from a 5G revolution perspective, concepts of network slicing to it's no longer about the branch, it's about the entire community and ecosystem and how you treat all your endpoints, to then saying that, zero trust networks or security profiling and those apertures, and how do I bring all of it together? So I think what's going to happen with SD-WAN is that the software defined capabilities are going to be sort of, becoming bigger, and it's going to be beyond sort of, the wide area network, because the definition of the wide area network has rapidly changed. And you hear, a lot of work happening in software defined LAN or in the local area network, right? So I think what's going to happen is a lot of convergence. So convergence in terms of how you deliver these capabilities. Customers are going to say that my endpoint that sits in a branch or an office, to a remote worker, to a business IoT endpoint, to something that is mobile, all of that experience and how you treat the interactions have to be done similarly. That has to be done at scale. And the ability for me as an enterprise to have full visibility of what is happening in the network, in the experience, in the data flows is where I see the future. So more automation, more self-healing, more visibility, and be able to be, some people say it is intent-based, some people say it is autonomous, but all of that boils down to if there is a cause, there is an effect, if there is an intention, if there is a movement, all of that the network should be able to do in a very software-centric mindset. And we will see that. That's the way I'm thinking about it.
Wow, I would love to encapsulate that and put it on the boardroom wall of every organization in the world. I think you've summarized that perfectly. Well, Rupesh, it's been great to see you. Thank you so much for making time to catch up with me. It's been long overdue, and I know that our audience, our viewers and listeners, are going to get a great deal from this. And I hope you and your family and your colleagues at work stay safe through the rest of this year. And let's hope that we return to a new normal soon, because I don't know about you, but I need a holiday.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for having me. I know it is long overdue, and the topic is front and center with all of the folks that we interact with, and I am looking forward to just getting back into the rhythm of life, right? So thank you.
Indeed. Thanks, Rupesh. You have a good day and stay safe.
Thank you.